Hello, and welcome to the Postal Pleasures channel. I get asked a lot what I do after I lay out in my videos. If you've watched videos before, it usually ends up with a big mass of stamps laid out on this table or a table like it, and I end it there. Show you some pictures, tell you what I like about them, but I never really show you the next step. So I'm going to touch on it in a couple videos. And partially it's because I don't have a lot of room to work with. I don't have a lot of free desk space. It's really this maybe 1.5 by, not even 2 foot by 2 foot area that I'm working with right here. I have a pretty big desk, but it's for working, and I also have some stamps on it. A couple computers on it, that sort of thing. But I have lots of processes, and I think it's probably going to be a bunch of videos. This might be a series of what I do and how I do it. And again, your stamps are your stamps. Your process is your process. You'll have to learn on your own. But I can tell you how I've evolved over the years. And I started, I want to guess 1984. I actually looked through this. This is my first album. I got it as a Christmas gift with a pack of 300 stamps and some tongs and some hinges, like probably a lot of schoolboys get. I want to say probably, 9, 10 years old. And so I think this book is probably 1984. I have some supplements in it beyond that, and loved it. I used it right away, and going through, we can see I don't have a lot of expensive stamps in the beginning of the book because I've never had the money to buy them. Certainly would love to someday. So pretty much this might be the oldest. Let's see. Oh no, that's the oldest, I believe, here. And again, I was a kid when I'm not going to say last used it. When I last seriously used it, I was a kid, so I could have misattributed any of these, right? That happens even now today. I make mistakes first pass around, so continue to evolve. Using hinges on the used stamps, using stamp mounts. This is an old crystal mount, I believe. That was what was common when I started. I think these are most likely Shogard mounts. So, in the early stamps years, I don't have a ton, but this was my process. It was find a stamp, usually US stamps, because that's what I started with, and add it to the book with a hinge. After looking at, so I didn't even need a catalog, right? So now I use a Scott catalog in the US. I use Michael catalogs for Germany. I have a French catalog. I'm forgetting the author now. Of course, the Michael ones are in German and the French ones in French, but you can learn to get around, and Google Translate these days is great. There's so many catalogs on the internet. There's Stamp World, and I'm hoping to do a video on that soon. And some people use CollectNet, if I'm saying it correctly, as it has a wealth of stamps, probably more than anything, and it has multiple catalog numbers based on whatever catalog, cross-reference as well. It works as well as a cross-reference, let's just put it that way. So this was my process for years. I get into the 30s and 40s, and it's almost complete, maybe missing some plate blocks. More and more mints, although I never really focused on trying to get mints. I do like mints, but I also like postally used. Some of the series that are, this is a 50 stamp series, all in one sheet. So I find them a little harder to find whenever there's something that varied. Somebody buys a sheet of stamps, there's only one of each, right? So logically, there won't be as many that get circulated. So this was it, right? And then you get into, let's see, back of book eventually. I'm working my way there. And I know we might be losing focus as we go. A few pieces of postal stationery. Of course, you can get pages for all sorts of things. Hunting permit stamps, Marshall Islands. And then we get into the typical back of book, which is your airmails. Again, moving forward. Special deliveries, postage dues, etc. So I'm going to close the book now. Really presentable, right? I mean, especially if I'd, been maybe a little older, a little bit better doing them straight, maybe stuck with one type of mount that shows the best. You have a really nice presentation piece that you can open up and show somebody. But it's expensive. The albums, I mean, this is a introductory level kid album that I've just made a lifetime use out of, although I don't use it aggressively anymore. the albums can be, I'd probably say they probably start, if I had to guess, and I haven't looked recently, probably start in the $30-$40 range, and then supplements could be $20-$30 a year for new pages, I think. And again, I haven't looked those up, that's just a guess, because I don't buy them anymore. If I were to do albums again, I suspect that I would create my own pages, and there's some good resources on the internet for that, but I haven't explored that yet. I don't have the time, in my life. I'm still, middle-aged and working still, and so stamp collecting is a luxury that I have barely enough time for, and even less now that I'm doing videos on it, right? So it's fun to do that too, don't get me wrong, but too many hobbies and too little time, I'm sure, is a problem that many of us have, and you still have to pay the bills. So I graduated, I used this pretty much solely as my solution until I took a pause, maybe through my 20s and 30s, and focused on work and life, and then I focused back on it. I also collect coins and other things. I have too many hobbies, as I said. So now that I'm back focusing on stamps as the main hobby, and this goes back a few years now, I decided that this was limiting. I wanted to get into worldwide. In my world, I'm really, U.S. catalog, U.S. albums are pretty good. Worldwide catalogs, unless maybe you get the best of the best or get country-specific catalogs, and I'm not even sure who to recommend. They're spotty, right? The standard albums, I shouldn't say catalogs, the standard albums, and I have them back here. Allow me to reach back and pull this out. I got this probably a year or two after I got the other one, and I haven't used it much because it is a bit of a disappointment. Nothing wrong with Harris. Most of them are like this, unless you get a really special album. And some of the best albums aren't even made anymore. So what it is it gives you a sampling of stamp pictures from a country, maybe the ones it thinks you're most likely to find, and it gives you some blank spaces to add some others. There's no real organization, alphabetical by country, but then within the country, maybe rough chronological order. But if I looked under most of these, I am sure, blank spots. Well, this one actually has an image under it, as it does that one. So, a few of these match the images, which is nice. But certainly Czechoslovakia has thousands of stamps, and could probably fill an album this big, if not bigger, just by itself. So you're not going to see that. And typically, again, it's schoolboy, canceled to order stamps for the most part. It is what it is. So I didn't continue with this method when I sort of reinvigorated my stamp collecting, and I wanted to use stock books. And here's an example of a stock book. They come in many shapes and sizes. You can get little tiny ones with 4 or 5 pages. In fact, I've seen little tiny ones, but this is what I'd consider the full size. I've actually seen some a little bigger, but this is a standard Lighthouse 64 page. You can get them in, I believe, 16 page. And that's, when I say page, I mean face. So if you're talking actual leaves, you cut that in half. But yeah, 16 face, 32 face, and 64 face. Let's see, we'll go in here. And essentially what it is, and this is glassine interleaved. I actually buy the ones that have a clear plastic interleave, because you can leave it down and see perfectly clearly through it, which is really nice. It has marlage strips. You can get them with white or black backgrounds. I like black backgrounds, as most stamps have a white perforation edge, so it makes the perforations really stand out. Let's see. This is one that I have U.S. stamps in, extra U.S. stamps, if you will, so duplicates. And I think my plan for these was I was going to have 30 years, 64 pages, 30 years with 2 faces per year, I believe was the plan. And then I have the next 30 years, the next 30 years, the next 30 years as extras. And actually, it took me a while to get to that logic. And the problem I have with these is that if you don't plan ahead of time, you're always going to find that next stamp that doesn't fit, right? If you were doing it, say, as an album, because you can set these up like an album, and you forget about a stamp, 4 pages later, all of a sudden you've got to move 100 stamps a space or several spaces to make up that, and I don't want to pull one of those out right now, But I have that mistake. I've got in my French album, I missed like a whole year, and I haven't had the courage to sort that back out yet. So what I found, where I evolved from here, and it's not that I don't use these, it's that they're not my primary. If I did want to display and I didn't want to do a custom album, this is how I would do it. But I'm not so concerned with showing off my collection. I mean, I do like being able to look at, a whole group of stamps. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not as concerned with showing off my collection. So I have gone to stock cards, and they're called a 102 card, 102B in this case because of black. There's different sizes. You can get 104, 106, possibly more. I actually only own 102 cards. I don't have any of the bigger ones. This is the smallest size that I'm aware of. They can have some different boxes for attributes and writing on it. I adopted my own nomenclature, or how I write on them. I do, and I know I'm zoomed way out here. It's because I have a lot of stuff to go over, so you might not be able to see all this. Not critically important. I can do some screenshots, I guess, but I write the catalog number. In this case, a Scott. It's an Australian stamp, so I'm using a Scott catalog number. I write S number 968 in this case. I like to use, and I didn't do this on this one, but right above the catalog price indicator, I generally do a symbol which represents the condition of the stamp, whether it's mint, used, CTO, and there's some other less common ones that we can do in there. I like how Michael does that, so I tend to use those. For catalog price, I put the catalog price down, and I write if it's a used stamp, I tend to write it on this side of the box. If it's a new stamp, a mint stamp, I tend to write the catalog price on this side of the box. And mint stamps I tend to put over on this side. And used stamps I tend to put over on this side. But I mean, sometimes I'll fill it all the way up with used or all the way up with mint stamps. I just tend to start one or the other, because sometimes on a stamp I'm not expecting to get many of, I'll put both the new and the used in the same 102 card. But generally I try to do one card for each state. But again, my rules, right? I can change them anytime I want. I can break them anytime I want. If I'm low on cards, I might start getting stingy with them. If I have plenty of cards like I do now, I think I just ordered another 10,000 cards. So I am flush with cards, and I'm using them with wild abandon. I don't put a selling price because I don't really sell stamps, and we all know most stamps don't sell for catalog value. So I look at catalog value as maybe a rough indicator of rarity, right? If I was ever going to sell one, I might, if I look at it and it shows the bare minimum catalog price of 20 cents, I don't even have to look it up, right? I can just go, penny, less, whatever I want to do. But if I see that it's $6, then I know, okay, well, that's a more interesting stamp. Or if I see that it's $90, I say, well, this is an amazing stamp. I better get a current catalog price. To me, $6 is still pretty amazing, because I don't really focus on expensive stamps. Just not in the budget. If I discover one in a lot, I love it. It's great. It's fun. It's exciting, but not something I go after. I'm not always spending money to get the one stamp I wish I had. Not my style of collecting. Again, my collection, my rules. So, where do I keep these stock cards? How do I organize them? That comes up to be the long box. So here's a long box. They hold about 1,000 cards. I've never actually counted that. It just says it says they hold more than that, but I doubt they do, especially once they start to get fat. And sometimes, I'll get close to 20 stamps in one card, and they do get kind of fat. You do have to be careful about tearing the glue margins. If you overstuff them, it can happen. And I have lots of these. I mean, for Germany alone, I probably have somewhere between 11, 13, somewhere in there. In the last count, I don't even know. I don't have a lot of shelving to store them on, so they're stacked around on my floor. Someday I'll build some shelves. I've got some Germany on my desk, just out of frame. I started with roughly one box per, no, that's not true. I started with maybe 10 boxes covering the alphabet for those countries which I didn't have a huge collection. So Germany, I had so much, it never was in these, they're in these boxes, but they're not part of, say, my alphabet collection. But I have, this is my A box, right? So I have countries which start with A, which I don't have separate collections for, right? So I'm starting here with Abu Dhabi, Aden, and then I come to the end here and I have Azerbaijan, Azores, right? So alphabetically, I'm using usually colorful, what do you call it, index cards, cut down just to fit in here. Just cut one direction on them, otherwise the height's good. And actually the height's a hair tall, but they fold back. And I write the country name on it, and the colors allow me to more quickly find the separations. Again, my process. And in this case, you know, these stamps were Australia, right? I can put that down, bring this over a little bit, and I've already, you know, skipping some steps here, right? I didn't show you taking the stamps off the table and putting into these cards, but essentially what I do is I do that, and I have a few ways I do that. Sometimes I just, I'm reaching back here, sometimes I just take, you know, whatever I had. Maybe in this case I had, this is Colombia here, and maybe I had 4 Colombian stamps. I stuffed them all in one sleeve. There's actually damage on that one. And here we have some Chile. I have 4 Chilean stamps, 2 that are the same. Stuffed them in this one because I knew I wasn't going to deal with them soon. And actually, when I do that, they go into a box, completely unorganized, just basically grouped by country within a 102 card. And next time I have a pile out of, say, a sorted world, I will grab my stack of these and I'll pull out, okay, here's Chile. Do I have any Chile stamps? If I have 2 more Chile stamps, they'll go in here. When I deem this to be full, I have another long box right here that's divided by letters, A through Z essentially. And so Chile's going to go in the C section. It's a full card, a full mixed card, not organized, not labeled, not anything. Then that stays in there until I have a ton of C's. And then maybe I pull out my C box. This would be my A box, right? I pull out my, well, let's just change it to A, right? So then I pull out my A box, I pick up all my A cards, and I can start to sort them in. And now if I am short on time and maybe that alphabetical box is just full and I need to make some room, I might just take all the Argentina cards and stuff them at the back of Argentina, right? So where's Argentina? Argentina, right? If we look at the back of Argentina, we have examples of that, sorry. We have stamps just haphazardly added to the 102 card, keeps them flat. Doesn't make the folds any worse, although I see a fold that's in there. Try to straighten out the folds before I put them in there for any. They go in the back of the list, right? Those which I have put a catalog number to are in the front of the pile in catalog number. So in this case, my first Argentina is Scott number 23. Then I go to 38, 67, etc. Eventually I get to a divider usually. That divider is either going to be back of book or it's going to be uncatalogued stamps. Now sometimes there's single stamps that are uncatalogued, but those always go to the back. So in any case, that's the broad process. I guess I'm trying to squeeze this all into one video. I'm talking pretty fast right now. Maybe I'll show some more details at some other point, but let's go ahead and try to sort some of these Australian stamps in. I'll just reach back and set these back in their pile. So here we have 968 Australia, and as you can see in Australia, actually it's a good example. I have this front section here is all that I have. Maybe 20, 30 stamps have been pre-cataloged with catalog numbers and documented. And then I have this next section. These are back of book, maybe another 10 stamps. And I can actually tell from looking at this that I must have, maybe with the exception of this one, I bought these. These came as part of a lot of other stamps. So there's somebody else's handwriting on a different style card, and it's a bunch of postage dues. So I didn't bother changing that. I'm trusting what they said for now. Because I think it's accurate for the most part, and I'm not so worried about catalog prices, which may have aged. And I left those as is. And then, but I spent some time getting ready for this video over the last week and documented a ton of my Australian stamps. That said, there's some, and I'm reaching back to another pile on my desk, some which I have not yet found the catalog number for. So I've got those here. And Australian stamps can be tricky. Some of the images might have 3 or 4 versions with different perforations, and you have to look out for that. You can also, there's watermarks to look out for. There's a lot to learn with stamps. Don't need to get into perforations and watermarks in this video, but certainly they do play an important part in properly attributing them. So, I mean, I'm not going to bore you with what's probably over 50 stamps here, but essentially 945A. I can quickly then scroll through 9 basically 25 to 958. That goes in the middle. Sometimes if I already have these in some sort of order, I'll take a spare card and I'll keep my spot with that spare card right there. But these are in no order. These are just haphazard. So I got an 854. Actually, that was a 525 to a 945. The 945 is in the wrong place. Okay, 945. I was in the wrong spot. That's in the wrong spot. Okay, so 968, 945. There you go. Those both go in the back. 854. 806 goes right in front of that. Sometimes it's actually easier to put these all in order because if I have a big gap, I actually hadn't looked in this before the video to see how few I'd actually cataloged. So if I put this in order, I might be able to take 10 at a time and go in a big gap, right? It would have saved me some time, but I didn't, so here we are. So 712. 712, right? So I think you get the point. We can catalog them in order, but they don't make for great display, right? If I want to show these to somebody, I've got to pull out a chunk and sort through them like I'm dealing cards. But they are infinitely extendable, right? When I get to the point where Australia takes up too much space in the box, I just take a new box and now I have an Australia box. You know, when Australia takes up too much space in that box, I have 2 Australia boxes. And from there on, I can branch out to the point where I have, as I said, maybe even 13 German boxes right now. You know, so for me, this is the most flexible solution. If I get more of this stamp than can fit in this envelope, I can just make a second envelope, right? Or not envelope, I should say, 102 card, stock card. I can make another stock card, put it in the same place, and might have 10 of that stock card. Now, I will say, for most stamps, if I get to the point where I've got 1 or 2 stock cards of a stamp in a condition, right, I might have used, I might have canceled the order all of one stamp, different envelopes. I might have one with pairs or blocks, but if I had, you know, used singles and I had 1,000 of them, I'd probably put together a card or 2, and then I would, and then I put them in an envelope, or potentially even I use, and I actually don't like this brand, but I use like food containers, food storage containers. If I had a ton of a stamp, I could put it in a food storage container, put the lid on, good to go. Sorry, those weren't in frame, but food storage containers. And I have stacks of food storage containers with stamps in them, sometimes with envelopes in them, sometimes there are various points of sorting. Again, my collection, my rules, and whatever sorting works out for me is what I do. You know, if I just dealt with, if I did a small lot with 25, maybe Australian stamps, I probably wouldn't. Well, again, it depends on my time, right? I might just bring out my box and try to sit through and do them then, but only if I had that time, right? Sometimes I'm really pressed for time. I need to clean up. Maybe I need to shoot another video because I do like to do several a week. I've been hard pressed to do even 1 a week right now. But, you know, again, my stamps, my rules. Okay, I think we'll know what we'll cover next. I'm going to put that away. I'm going to close up my box and put the rest of these Australian stamps just out of frame for now. And working in sort of non-linear order here, I'll pull out a stamp catalog. under a stock book here. So here's my U.S. Scott Specialized. So probably the logical question, that I've skipped so far, is how do I know what the Scott numbers are, catalog numbers, if I'm using any kind of catalog, right? And you can use any catalog you want. You can use Stamp World if you like. I like Scott for most countries. I actually love the Michael catalogs from Germany. I love the level of detail, but I only have the 2 German books, the 2 German Specialized. Their catalogs are expensive. I mean, this is easily $100, and it's already a couple years old, right? I'm not going to buy one every year. I'm not a dealer. It's not, it would be nice, but I can't afford them. A lot of libraries have these, so you could always bring. I don't know if most libraries probably don't allow you to take it home, but a lot of them have a reference room. You could certainly bring your stamps to it and look them up, document your cards there. If I was dealing with this lot, and let's go do this, right? So the first thing I'm going to do, and maybe this is how I would maybe fill these bulk stock cards to begin with, is I would probably sort these by either, probably not by set, but in this case, I do have 3 that are part of the same set, so that's going to maybe go in a pile, which attributes to a stock card, a bulk storage stock card, if you will, if I wasn't going to go into individuals. And the reason I'm not going to go into individuals U.S. stamps is because I know that I have a ton of the U.S. already put into stock cards, right? So if I took a new stock card for each one of these I found today and documented it, I'd be erasing a lot of stock cards for reuse at the end. So let's just say 3 cents go into a 3-cent pile, 4 cents go into a 4-cent pile, postage due goes in postage due, special delivery, 8 cent. And the reason cent works really good in the U.S. because while there's a few exceptions, typically it's the postage or the first class rate goes up over time, right? So most of the 8 cents are going to be in a period of years, I guess in the late 50s, early 60s. When I was younger, I probably knew exactly when, but I've forgotten more than I probably still know. 20 cents, right? 8 cents, 4 cents, 4 cents, 3 cents, 4 cents, 5, 4, 3, that'll go in there, 3, set this one aside because it's a definitive, 3 cent, 3 cent, duplicate 3 cents, 4, 4, 3, 8, that's a really neat one, an airmail, and let's call that good, right? We've got more than enough to go through here, and I'm not going to get my US book out to check if I already have these now, but essentially, just to save myself from flipping so many pages, let's look at the 4-cent ones. Let's see, is that in frame? Move that up there a little bit. Browse into the book. Get to the section where we've got 3 cents here. Let's go a little further, some more 3 cents. And 4 cents. Let's go to the beginning of the 4-cent section. And I already see some. So, let's see. I'll lay these out. You can see a little bit of my foreground. I know there's going to be a little shadow on it. These stamps are nothing special. I know I shouldn't be touching them with my hand, but common stamps, and I cheat sometimes. Sometimes stamps have a date on them, right? So I've got a 61, a 62, a 60. I'll put that one ahead maybe. Maybe I'll lay them out in chronological order, and then I'll have a bunch of ones that don't have a number, a date, 62. Those 2 stamps are the same. So the first thing I see here is a Credo stamp, and I know that there's, I'm familiar with this book, right? I also see the Freedom of the Press, so that's good. So let's look at the Freedom of the Press. So first of all, we see that we have 1958 is the date, so I guess I was wrong about the 8-cent stamps. I was a little early. We have 1119 is the Scott catalog number, and again, this might not be in focus. I know I'm zoomed way out, but 1119, the image number A564, so that basically distinct image. Now sometimes there'll be slight variations that'll be given the same image number. and it says it's a 4-cent stamp, and that it's a black color, so black ink, of course the white background, and it has a mint value of 25 cents and a used value of 25 cents. Now again, those are what they consider minimum catalog value, and that can be defined as, I've been told, if a dealer was having to sell this, he can't really touch and catalog it and sell it for less than 25 cents. You know, the end user, we're hoping to pay probably not more than a penny for something that's minimum catalog value, you know, and then buying bigger bulk, you might get them for a fraction of a penny. You know, if it's the last stamp you need, maybe you'll pay up for it. It says it's a rotary press printing, so it gives you some details. It gives you the description of the stamp, who it's designed by, which can be, some people collect just stamps designed by a certain artist or a certain engraver. And it gives you the perforation, and in this case they're all the same perforation, but sometimes perforation is very important to attributing to the right stamp. In this case it's a 10.5 by 11, and if there's a single number it means all the perforated sides are the same. When it's, say in this case, 10.5 by 11, it means the top and bottom are 10.5 and the left and right are 11. And I have a whole video on measuring perforations and perforation gauges, so definitely check that out if you're not familiar with that. But this is where I would then take my stock card, and I don't have one handy, put it in there and document it with the information that I want there, and then I can slide it into my long box in the proper position if I so choose. In this case with US, I'd probably check my long box first before I wrote in a new card to see if there was a card already existing. Saves me time and whatnot, but don't need to do that. So let's see, do I see anything else on this page matching these stamps? And I think you can kind of see these stamps a little bit. And I'll tell you, I'll miss some first pass, right? I'm not going to catch everything. I know we have Credo coming up, and we have like a, not maroon, but a, I'm not sure, but a bright pink red. So with Abraham Lincoln quotation, that's the correct picture. It says image number 586. I come down here to this grouping, find image number 586, magenta and green. Magenta is the word I was looking for. Has some green in there as well. And that's 1143. Again, 25 cents and 25 cents. Minimum catalog value. And I would know how to document this and put it in there. I've got 2 of those. They'd go in the same card for me. Let's see, what do we have? Do we have any of these others? I don't. Oh, no, I see another match. So, Boys Clubs of America movement. This one, again, 1960, 1163 is the stamp number. And, again, 25 cents, perforation 11, so all 4 sides are perforated 11. So, I think this has covered it. I hope this was useful. I hope I didn't go too fast or make this too oversimplified, and if I did, let me know, and I can go into more detail on anything. I hope you found this useful. Hope I've answered a lot of those questions, and I'm happy to do more of this. And if you have any questions, please reach out, and I'll see what I can do for you. Thanks again.